The Optical Character Recognition window, OCR. You can do simple OCR, creating an interlinear with pasted in text, and then I'm also going to cover creating an interlinear with two-language OCR, and it's going to be an extreme case, creating an ancient Greek to English interlinear. Simple OCR. In this case, we're just looking to get some text from a photo or printed page. We'll open up the OCR window, set the language at the top. It is possible to do simple OCR with two languages by clicking the multi-language checkbox. Your results can vary depending on the language used when doing multiple languages. Once you have selected the language, there are two ways to load an image. To paste in an image, you'll need to have a screenshot. For screenshots in Windows, you just use the keyboard shortcut. Click the Windows button, or hold down the Windows button, which is next to the Control button. Hold down the Shift button, and then choose the S character, and you'll get something that looks like this. It'll take the screenshot within the box. Then you open up your OCR, set your language. In this case, we're doing English. And then we just paste into, and we get our text. Sometimes we get a couple extra lines too. And you can set your length here, which kind of straightens a lot of things out. And then you can just select it all, and your keyboard shortcuts that you can use. Select all, Control A selects everything in the text box. Cut, Control X selects everything in the text box and removes everything in the text box. Copy just copies it, Control C, and paste, Control V. That's what you would use to put the text into the main text box here. And that covers part 1. Part 2, creating an interlinear with pasted in text. Suppose you have the text below. The top paragraph is in French and it's translated into English below. Now we want to use these two, which are identical other than the language they're in, to create an interlinear. So we'll select the first one, open this up. Let's clear this all out. We don't really have to set the language because we're not doing OCR, so I'm not worried about that. We'll set the length, which will straighten things out. And then we'll get this. Copy it, go back to the OCR window, put it down here, paste it in, set the length, and then this split button, what it does is it finds sentences and it splits at every sentence, and it does it with both texts simultaneously. Okay, so we'll do our split, and then we get a count down here. The count shows us that we have what appears to be a perfect matchup. Usually if I get that, I'll just hit, instead of hitting step merge, I'll hit full merge, and then I'll look at it and see if it looks right. If it looks right, then I'll go with it and copy and paste it out or whatever. If it doesn't look right, then I'll hit undo, do my edit, and then do full merge again until you get it like it should be. Okay. Now we're coming to a case where things get a little bit more difficult to deal with. I'm going to select this text, and then we're going to open up the OCR button. We're going to change this to Greek. We're going to clear all this out, and then we're going to paste that Greek in. Then we're going to go back here, copy this English, go back to the OCR window, and it's English, so we're pasting it in. We get our text. Now, as I said, this is going to be a little more involved. When you're going from Greek to English, you don't want to use the double language because it does not work well. You can't just take both of these and do them. There's just no way. But anyway, that's for if they're mixed, and these aren't mixed. If they were mixed, it would have the Greek and the English in one page. But if you're doing something like French English, you can get away with doing it in one swoop here. And as you can see, it's a mess right here. This is supposed to be LXIX. LXIX, something like that anyway. And then we've got garbage characters, blank lines. Not to underrate the power of this program, though. If you were trying to do this manually, it would take you forever, literally. So this makes it a lot easier. When you're doing Greek, you're going to run into a lot of problems like this where you see just garbage characters, and 99% of the time it's garbage characters, and you don't even have to look at the text to find out for sure whether it's garbage characters or not. Okay, so then you've got this, and this doesn't look too bad. I don't think that belongs in there. And then we can set our length, which really straightens things out good. Sometimes you can see little problems here and there. And then this is supposed to be a period. Now we see we'll run into another mess because we're going to use the split button and see if we can split the sentences. As you can see, we did not get a matchup at all. It is really messed up. So we probably want to make this all one sentence. And now what I did is I divided this up so I believe it matches. Yeah, it does match. And we change this to a period. And then what we need to do when we're handling them sentence by sentence, because that's what we're doing with the Greek and the English, is handle them sentence by sentence. We need a marker here, right here. We got a marker here, but we need a marker here. So let's see, insert marker. So that's the end of sentence marker. This is an empty, so I'm just going to remove it. And now, because we want to make this easier, we're just going to handle one sentence at a time. So what we'll do is we'll go step merge, and then we'll get this where it'll create the interlinear, so you can check it and make sure it looks all right. If it looks all right, then you can click the cache button. What the cache button does is it grabs everything from here, and if you'll notice when we merge this, it put this marker here. This marched off this section. When we click cache, it'll take that out only, and then it'll bring you to your next set that you need to work with. And then you just follow the same work loop. You get it to match up somehow or other. Probably right there. Put your period there. Put your marker. And then you click your step merge again. And you just keep doing this until you finish them all out. And remember that every time you do a merge and it merges and it looks right, you hit the cache button. If it doesn't look right, you can undo it and redo it, go back to where you were. Each time you hit the cache button, it'll store this. And then when you reach a point where you don't have any text left and you hit the cache button, it'll bring everything back, everything that you did. So that's how to work with a text that is more difficult and complicated to deal with. And I have all this recorded in the help file. So if you want to review the help file, you can do that. And it might possibly be of help to have that help file open when you do something a little bit more complicated, until you get used to the workflow. Once you got used to the workflow, then you're good to go. And as I said, it is a little bit more complicated with languages like Greek, but it's way faster than if you tried to do it by hand.